We're going to go take a little history of comfort in America.
Okay.
The word comfort dates from the Middle Ages, right? And it first had like emotional and religious connotations. What it actually meant was to be in a state of satisfaction in oneself or emotional solace received from prayer, friends, and family. And that makes sense. You talk about people like take comfort in prayer, and like you think about it like that. But in the 17th century, mostly in the Western world, it came to be associated with physical well-being and not something with yourself or inward, but one's relationship to their material furnishings and environment.
Yep. Change the definition of that one.
Massively. So there's this book called The Invention of Comfort, and John Crowley's the author, and he writes, physical comfort, self-conscious satisfaction with the relationship between one's body and its immediate physical environment was an innovative aspect of Anglo-American culture, one that had to be taught and learned. Imagine like someone teaching you what it is to be comfortable now when we're in a world, especially in America, where it's just like comfort. I would say comfort is king. It's like people's natural move is
people
towards
are
whatever's most
constantly
comfortable.
seeking comfort.
Yeah, and so where we've seen this, so I want to get some hard stats as well, because how do you measure comfort? That was part of my search. Well, listen to this. For a new house, in 1950, the average square feet, what do you think it was, G?
In 1950,
America.
average square foot, 570.
Wow, dude, you're really small. What are you, European? 983, but that's still not big. Nowadays, but in 2000, what do you think the average square foot was of a house?
1,700.
Close, 2,266 square feet in 2000, right? Like, which if you're in California, you're like, yes, I made it. And if you're in the Midwest, you're like, man, things are tough. Okay, and so here's another great example. In 1965, only 10% of homes in the U.S. had air conditioning. In 1993, it was 68%. By 2009, it was 87%.
I mean, the definition of service is, if you sit in first class, if you go somewhere nice, the question is, how can I make you more comfortable?
Yeah, 100%.
That's what people are seeking.
Yeah, and I don't think it's done us good. I'm just going to be upfront about that. I really don't think it's making us better. Where I start with this, just to be transparent with everybody, I looked up obesity. I looked up heart disease. I mean, there's, I think it's like 695,000 people a year die of heart disease in America. Where the reason I didn't want to go into that, the reason I didn't want to go into that though, is because it's based on an obesity definition that comes from BMI, and that's a whole nother debate that I didn't want to get into. Yeah. So I just stumbled onto that. Everything I just read you from the book quote to those statistics was actually from a Boston Globe article, which I once again didn't expect.
Okay.
But really fascinating to see how we've got so much more comfortable. One of the points they made is what we now take for granted at one point was cutting edge technology. And it's like, I know that seems obvious, but my sort of takeaway from all this about how we're now looking at our level of comfort based on what's outside of us is, what does it take to make you complain? Truthfully.
For sure. That's good.
What causes you to complain? Are you getting hangry? Are you the person that if it's like 5 degrees, you're like, oh, it's hot. I had
to wait for 5 minutes in line.
Yeah. Oh man, I was so bored. Like that's something that you do as a kid. I'm so bored. God forbid you're bored. Like, wouldn't that be the worst thing in the world, that you actually have to sit there with your thoughts and figure it out? Not at all. And this is not the episode where I just sit there and put a big cynical hat on and bemoan everything. I'm just saying, like, comfort, I think comfort, what's the worst thing about it is that it becomes so commonplace that we don't even see it anymore. We expect
it is the silent killer in America.
Yeah, man. Is it silently killing you right now, Garrett, or nobody can get the drop on you, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good. I'm glad to see that you always have comfort.
I'm not being killed, so I'm killing the killers.
Great job. I'm constantly killing comfort. All right, let's get into it, G. So we're gonna look at comfort versus discipline. I will tell you up front, we're going to look at a lot of things like when does discipline get easier? What makes discipline break? What's the difference between discipline and willpower, and discipline and self-leadership, and all these different things. We're going to talk about how to get more discipline, the benefits of it. So we are going to go more into discipline than comfort. But and to that effect, G, why don't you go ahead and give us your definition of discipline? Because you made one up.
Yeah, I would. There's a lot of definitions I could give for discipline, but I would say discipline is correcting yourself, or discipline is your ability to move yourself. Right. And discipline is like a muscle. We'll get into the comparisons later, but discipline is like a muscle. It's not so much about your thoughts, but it is a strength that you build up over time to do what you know you're supposed to do. People who have weak discipline, it's because they haven't been being disciplined, right? When you are disciplined, it begins to relay into other areas of your life. You get stronger in discipline. When you grow in discipline, you can be more disciplined.
Right. I think it's a Pastor Keithism. Hold on. Where he talks about like discipline is the foundational element of all personal growth and development. Mm-hmm. And when you realize that, that is a massive unlock, because like you said, it's the ability to be able to correct yourself.
Yep.
And so what are you going to have to do over and over and over again in any growth?
And what you're correcting yourself against is comfort.
Right.
Right. In the same way that we have entropy, right? Entropy it's a law of thermodynamics that things are naturally leaning towards destruction, towards erosion. Friction is making things harder. We have a natural inclination to go towards being soft, to go towards being weak, right? And discipline really is the opposite of comfort. Comfort is I want to be comfortable. I want it to be easy. But the thing is, no one grows in life. No one gets more mature in life by being comfortable.